Welcome back, explorers. I'm David, that's Wesley, and this is the Trailcast.
The weekly show that gets so far off track, you'll have to stick around to see just where we end up.
So sit back and enjoy the ride as we go to Mayberry.
That's right. Today, we're talking about the Andy Griffith Show. So, I do want to make a quick disclaimer. I am sick, so I'll try not to cough into the mic too much.
Yeah, I don't want to catch it.
Yeah, no, I don't want to get anyone sick. With this, it's nothing much. It's just kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Annoying little cold here. But, David, today we were talking about the Andy Griffith Show. I don't know how many people who listen to this podcast have seen the Andy Griffith Show. But what do you think of the Andy Griffith Show? Like, I know I grew up watching it. I know you grew up watching it. What's your earliest memory of the Andy Griffith Show?
Man, I don't know. I watched a show like so long ago. I started watching that show so long ago. I don't even remember the first time I watched that show.
Well, I was wondering if you had a first memory of it, because like when we were talking about the Gilligan's Island, I was surprised that you had a earliest memory of it, because like in my mind, I've been watching it for so long that I don't remember the first time I watched it. Same with the Andy Griffith Show, I don't remember the first time I watched it, so that's why I asked, because I wasn't sure. You know.
Yeah, the Andy Griffith Show is yeah, I've been watching it for forever. My mom loves that show. I know your parents probably watched it a lot too growing up.
Oh yeah, we've watched a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean it's a really good show because it's like of those like older TV shows, it's not my like top favorite, but it's still a really good show. It's one of those shows that I can put on and it's a comfort show, I guess, for me. Like a lot of these older TV shows are.
Yeah. It's a classic. I mean, you can't really hate on it because of the fact that it's a classic. Like you said, it may not be exactly your favorite TV show from that time or older TV show, but it's like it's so good that, and you've seen it so many times that like, yeah, it's a comfort show. It's a classic. You can't hate on it because it's a good show. You know, either way.
Yeah, it's just a show that you can just kind of like wind down to it. Like I if I'm doing something, that's a good show. That's a good show I like to put on to like for like the background to like, because you know I've seen that show so much that I can watch it in the background or like have it on in the background and know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. I'm not trying to get off the topic of the Andy Griffith Show, but we were watching, me and Sarah watching The Office earlier today, and I was laying down. TV was out of sight, and I heard the episode, and halfway through, I kind of came into the realization that I wasn't actually watching the show, but I heard it, and I was visualizing the scenes in my head, and it was as if I was like sitting there watching it. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not actually watching this. I'm just like kind of watching it in my head because I've seen it so many times. And the Andy Griffith Show is very much a show that I can kind of do that with a little bit too. Not maybe every single episode. I know you and me have talked about this, and obviously I think we'll probably dive into this a little bit more later on. But like once Barney left in the what, he's probably in 5 or 6 seasons, something like that. After that last season that he was in, you know, I didn't watch it as much. But like the ones with Barney, like I've seen tons and tons of times.
Yeah, pretty much the black and white ones I have seen so many times because, like, I do like I think it's last 3 seasons are in color. They aren't bad, but they're not the first couple seasons that are in black and white.
Yeah, I mean, you lose a cast member, a main part of the plot, and it's like, well, now what? Like, he was a very important part of the show. He leaves, and it's like, it's kind of one of those things where the Andy Griffith Show was a good show, and Andy Griffith did a great job playing Andy Taylor. But that being said, like when they did the last 3 seasons of the Andy Griffith Show, and then they did what was it? Mayberry
RFD.
What was that one?
Mayberry RFD.
The
one with
yeah, they did that show. I think it wasn't it Omer, or is it Goober? It was Goober, right? Because Gomer Pyle was the one that went off, and they had his own show about that.
Yeah, because Gomer
Goober,
went.
right?
Yeah, it was Goober because Gomer was in the he had his own show.
Yeah, it was Goober. That other guy, what was his name?
Sam, I think.
Slender guy. Yeah.
Oh no, you're talking about
mustache.
Warren. Right?
No.
No?
I'm talking about who, because Mayberry RFD didn't focus on Andy Taylor as much. It focused on the side characters a little more, right?
Well, no, because it was basically the Andy Griffith Show after Andy Griffith had left. Because he left the show, and that's what it turned into.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it had those other side characters as the main characters, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's... I don't remember the names of all the characters in some of those later seasons. I mean, Goober was in it from pretty much the beginning, like, there was a crossover with him and Gomer, and then Gomer left, and Goober kind of took that spot. But, so he was in some of the earlier stuff, but the other characters, I think, came in a little bit later, and so I don't remember a lot of their names. I can see them in my head. Mm-hmm. So you need to read my mind.
The main character in Mayberry RFD was I think the character's name was Sam. I haven't watched Mayberry RFD in a while, but it was the same guy who he was Ken Berry from F Troop. He was in a lot of movies back then too, but he was like the captain in F Troop.
I think I saw a little bit of F Troop.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry to keep clearing my throat in the mic. I'm trying not to, but I keep looking. I see it gets picked up, so I apologize for that. I'm looking it up now. Okay. I see what you're talking about. Howard is the guy that I'm talking about.
Howard, yeah, okay.
Show.
Yeah.
Howard is who I was talking about. I see who Sam Jones is the guy that you were talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get weird. I see. So yeah, I guess those 3 guys were the main characters, correct?
Yes.
Sam, Goober, and Howard? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, bring it back to the Andy Griffith. I'm sorry, you go.
What I was getting at it. Yeah, well, what I was getting at with that was I was not trying to get off track with the thing, but I was saying like the last 3 seasons of Andy Griffith and the Mayberry RFD. Mayberry RFD only had 3 seasons, so those total like 6 seasons there that didn't have Barney Fife in it, kind of showed that, like, while Andy was the main character, Barney was such a big sidekick character to Andy that, like, the show didn't do as good without Barney in it,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like most people kind of share that sentiment. Like, not saying that those episodes aren't good and they didn't have good episodes or that they weren't good shows, but it's not the same, without having Barney Fife in it.
Well, I think part of that is like Don Knotts and Andy Griffith had such a good chemistry together too that it was missing that element of it too. I think the show is still good. Those last couple seasons, but like I said, it's just missing that chemistry that had made the show good.
What also sucks, and I've heard this before. So if someone knows better, then obviously contact us and tell us that we are stupid. But from what I heard, the reason Don Knotts left wasn't because he wanted to leave the show, but it was because he didn't realize that the show was going to continue. They were supposed to, I think, end after that last season that he was in, and then they were like, actually, no, we're going to keep going. He'd already signed on contracts with other shows and movies, so his schedule was full, and so he had to be written out of the show because, he wasn't aware that they were going to continue the show, which is kind of sad. If that is the case, because
I have heard that too. I don't know if that's true or not, but I have heard that too.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, like Don Knotts and Andy Griffith were really good friends in real life.
Yeah.
So obviously he's in the show a decent amount. I think he's in the show like. There's several episodes where he's in the later seasons.
After he just left,
yeah, because what agency does he? Because he goes to like the character of Barney Fife goes to work for the state, right?
Yeah,
he works for one of the state,
like Raleigh
agencies.
Or something.
Yeah, he's in Raleigh. He's working for one of the state agencies. I think.
Yeah, I don't know which one it is, but I know he basically becomes a big guy up in the state, like as one of the, agents, officers, or whatever, in one of the state things, departments.
I also find it kind of funny how it's kind of like off topic, but because it's set in North Carolina. The show is set in North Carolina, but because it was filmed in California, a lot of the times when they're like out, like there's several scenes when like they're out on patrol or something, or they're doing something outside or whatever, like out away from the city, where there's like trees and stuff. It doesn't look like North Carolina. I've always thought that was funny because they're filming it in California, so it's either a set or it's or if it is like they're actually filming outside, they're filming somewhere in California.
Somewhere where it's not where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I always thought that's kind of funny.
Not supposed to look that closely into it, David. I mean, you think about it. Back when this was aired. Tiny little TVs, grainy. You weren't supposed to pay attention to all that stuff.
But like
you're being too critical. Too critical.
I mean, I'm not being like completely serious about this. I just find it kind of funny. But because like we grew up in South Carolina. We grew up in South Carolina, so it's like a very similar environment to that. Because I think it's Mount. What is the city that Mayberry is based off of? I can't remember.
I have no idea.
Mount Airy, yeah. Yeah, the city of Mayberry is based off of the city in North Carolina called Mount Airy. Okay. If you didn't know this, look it up. It's cool. It's actually a cool place to visit because they've got a lot of stuff. They've got some stuff from the show.
Is that where
in the city? What's up? You there? Wesley? Well, I guess he's gone. Unless I'm just not able to hear him again. I don't know, that might be the case, but looks like he's gone. Well, in any case, yeah, Mayberry is based off of a real town in North Carolina called Mayberry. There's actually a Andy Griffith Museum, and there's a replica of the courthouse from Andy Griffith. So, if you're ever in that area in North Carolina, go check it out. Okay, seriously, where is Wesley? Oh, he's not even on the call anymore. He must be trying to fix his stuff. I don't know. See, this is why they don't do podcasts with just one person. It's not very entertaining. I mean, you could listen to me ramble on about whatever for however long, but it probably wouldn't be that very, very entertaining. But right now, we're just waiting on Wesley to get back. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna get my Switch and play Tears of the Kingdom until Wesley gets back.
Alright.
Alright, so where
What were you talking about? I don't know, what were you talking about?
Well, I was talking about Mayberry. I don't know what the last thing you heard was, because I think you had said something like shortly before I noticed that you were gone, but I don't exactly know how long you were gone, so.
I don't remember. It's been a long... I think I've been trying to fix this for like the past 20 minutes, so
yeah, it's been about 20 minutes. I guess there was a delay in the text too, because it...
Yeah, I texted you, and I was like, I'm assuming that he would have seen this, because, like, you know, it's not like he's busy doing something else. Like, I would assume that he sees this and texts back. When I sent you the text through Sarah's phone, that was when I got your text.
Huh.
I don't know how long before that you had sent your text, but that was when I got yours. So, that wasn't working, and I wasn't sure if this would work, but I was trying to go on Instagram and see what your username on Instagram was, because I was like, he probably uses the same one across the board, although with this, they give you numbers for it, right? Like, you don't choose those.
Yeah.
So that would have been an issue. But I was trying to do that, and we have Wi-Fi, but Instagram kept saying, cannot load. So I went to Sarah's phone, and it said it could not load. So nothing was working. My computer I also tried like 3 or 4 times, would not cut back on. So I'm about to mess with that later. That might not be in a great shape. So it's been a rough day.
Well, technical difficulties aside. Yeah, technical difficulties aside, let's get back into it, because
yeah,
I'm gonna have to subtract, because so we've been recording for 50 minutes now. I'm gonna have to subtract like 25 minutes from that, so
yeah, so probably about 30, close to 30 minutes.
Yeah, so I guess once that
we'll
rolls
record
over
for another 30.
I guess once that rolls over about an hour and 20 minutes, then we'll switch over to what's new with you. But yeah. So so our core timer is going to be all screwed up for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah. I think we'll just kind of play it by ear. We can just play it by ear. I mean, it'll be fine.
If it ends up being an hour, it's fine. If it ends up being 3 hours, it's fine.
I don't know if I want to talk for 3 hours. Not this week.
Hours. But, so...
3 hours later.
Alright, well, what's the last thing you remember?
You were talking about Mayberry being wherever the hell it's at.
Okay. Yeah, it's Mayberry is based on a real place. I already mentioned this to the people listening to the podcast, so
it's fine. You don't have to repeat anything you said. What I would probably say is let's just try and move on to a new subject, and then it won't be as big of a deal. Because then you can cut it after you've realized that you can cut it when you finish talking, unless you had like thoughts that you didn't complete. In which case, you might want to complete them.
Well, no, I'm going to leave a lot of this in because I think this is going to be funny. But just depending on the way I edit this, I think it's going to be fine. Anyway, so yeah.
You know what? My most prominent memory of the Andy Griffith, well, not the Andy Griffith Show, but like with something to do with the Andy Griffith Show and Andy Griffith, is when he died. I was at your house. I remember it very, very vividly. I think we were, you, me, and your mom, I think maybe Robert and Ethan were with us too. But we were on a walk. We had walked through the trails and the park by your house. We were about to your house. I think your mom got a text from Mamaw saying that Andy Griffith had just died. And, like, I think later on they turned on the news and it was, on the news that night or something like that. But I remember that very vividly. I also remember when Michael Jackson died because I was also at your house. Or at least, there was a news article going on at the time when one time I was at your house about his death. So, I just can't go to your house. We'll die.
Yeah, it seems like that's a lot of
well, oddly enough, like the only other two people I remember celebrities wise dying was Prince. I think I remember when he died, but I was not at your house, so it's not cursed. And Kobe Bryant. I also remember where I was when Kobe Bryant. I saw that he had died, but I was not at your house. I was at my house, so. Not cursed. You're just mostly cursed.
Not sure how I should feel about that.
Yeah,
but see, I
don't know
didn't.
If you're cursed, or if it's your house is cursed. It's one of the two. I feel like it might be you because bad things just tend to happen when I'm around you.
No, I think it's just you.
It's just me. Yeah, but see, bad things don't always happen when I'm around me. Just some of the time.
Oh. When are you not around you?
I mean, you know. Yeah, you know.
Do I?
No, but you know. It's okay. They get it.
Okay.
It's okay, David. It's okay. Moving on,
okay.
though.
But I didn't even remember
I don't know what we're moving on to.
I didn't remember that you were over there when he had passed away. But
yeah.
I also just
back in like 2012, I think.
Yeah, July 3rd, 2012, which makes sense. So I was also the summer if you were over there. Yeah.
Summertime, I would have been at your house. 2012, we would have been in. I think I was in 6th grade in 2012 because that was my sister graduated. So I think I would have been going into 7th grade. I think she graduated when I was in 6th grade.
Yeah.
I remember weird things very vividly, but most things very badly.
He was born in 1926.
Don Knotts was older than him.
He was like, that's almost 100 years ago.
Yeah, well, I mean,
he,
it would be now. He was in his 80s. He was like, what, 87, 89?
Yeah.
86.
Yeah, I think so.
How old was he? Look it up.
Yeah, he would have been 86.
86, okay.
Yeah.
For those of you wondering, I was not doing the math. I was trying to remember. It was luck that I remembered. The 19... you said 1920 what?
1926. He was born on June 1st, 1926. So, yeah, Andy Griffith's birthday is actually coming up soon.
Yeah.
June 1st.
He was old. Don Knotts passed away early 2000s. Was it before the turn of the century? I don't know if he was died in the 90s or not. He was older than Don Knotts or Andy Griffith. I don't know necessarily by how much.
He was 2 years older. He was born in 1924. So
24.
Yeah, 1924. July. His birthday was July 21st. Now that's on our birthday. But he passed away in 2006.
2006. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about it, like, I mean, what, Andy Griffith was probably in his 30s-ish by the time the Andy Griffith Show was shot, and that was in, like, probably, I guess, the 50s, that would be. Shot around the 50s, maybe the 60s.
Andy Griffith ran from 60 to 68.
60, 68. So he would have been about late 30s, maybe 40.
Yes. Yeah, he would have been like, he would have been in his 30s when it started, in his 40s when it ended. But
yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting to look at like actors like that from shows of that time period, and like, so, you know, Aunt B was probably born over 100 years ago at this point, you know, like,
let's see,
just with she was older. I don't necessarily know how old she was, but she was older when the show aired, and you know, now we're like long past Andy Griffith's death, so it's like, it's one of those things where it's kind of interesting to see like certain people on TV at certain times were born, some of them in the 1800s, like late 1800s, but like kind of cool, kind of a cool thing.
So, the actress who played Aunt B was born 100 years before you and I were born. She was born in 1902. Kind of dating ourselves here, but yeah, she was born in 1902.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, like, it's not like we're dating ourselves old. I think it's a bad thing because we're dating ourselves too young. No. We were born in 1943. There you go. There's our new birth year.
1943. So we were born
about 80 years old now.
So we were born during World War II?
Oh, yeah. 1943 would be during World War II.
Oh.
That's how it works. It's kind of how history works.
I don't think we sound like we're 80 years old. I mean, yes, but I don't think we sound.
That was my boomer voice.
You're gonna get canceled.
No. I didn't say anything of... Well, I guess somebody might take offense to it. But boomers don't take offense to anything. They were tough back then.
That's true.
Back then, though, I don't know how tough they are now. I mean, they're getting pretty old, so...
Yeah. Only problem is if you get
I
canceled,
probably
I'm probably
will
gonna get canceled with you.
I was about to say, let's be honest here. We're probably gonna get canceled at some point or another, anyways. So, but we need to wait. We need to wait to get big enough so that we don't have to worry about being canceled because no one can cancel us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. How did we
you
get from the Andy Griffith Show to this?
Because I was talking about old people. And Andy Griffith is an old show with an old person in it. So...
Yeah. Also, it's also really
I
weird
think Ron Howard... Go ahead.
Well, I was actually about to talk about Ron Howard. That's weird.
No, get out of my head. I was just going to say
weird.
that I think Ron Howard is one of the only actors still alive from that show.
Yeah,
he was, a kid.
I was about to say,
yeah.
It's kind of weird that, like, Ron Howard got his start in Andy Griffith. Like, that was, like, one of, if not his first acting role.
I think, wasn't he in Music Man or something like that?
Let's see.
Beforehand? I think that might have been his first actual role. Now, that being said, I've never seen that before, but I think he was. Andy Griffith Show,
Well,
I mean, he was like real young in the pilot episode of Andy Griffith Show. The Andy Griffith Show. So, I mean, if it wasn't his first role, it was like his second.
Oh my gosh, he's got
Definitely
so many.
his first big role.
I'm looking at his IMDb. He's got so many producer and director roles. Because that's primarily what he does now.
Well, yeah, because like the only things I really know him from are Andy Griffith Show and then Happy Days.
Hmm. Well, you know, like
speaking of, I forgot.
Okay, so did you it's real. Okay, so this is really weird. Like, I guess like this is kind of weird for me to think about around about, but did you watch Jurassic World?
I still have not seen those. That I know it's something I need to watch, but it's just not something I've gotten around to watching yet.
But the girl in Jurassic World is Ron Howard's daughter.
Oh yeah, I did see something. I think
either
you told me about that at one point or something, but
like I don't know, like it just doesn't. I mean, I know Ron Howard.
Jurassic World is
old now, but still.
Jurassic World is the one that the reboot of it, not the reboot, but the ones made after, or is that the older version?
So Jurassic Park was the original trilogy. Jurassic World's the new trilogy. And it's not. It is a reboot, but it's a sequel to like they rebooted the franchise, but not really. Like it's a sequel that revived the franchise. Let me put it that way. Well,
yeah.
I don't know how well it actually did revive it, but
didn't retcon everything that happened. The other ones just built off of it. Right here I have presumably what was it? So he first appeared in The Journey, 1959, and then The Music Man, 1962. Then he appeared in the long-running TV show, The Andy Griffith Show, from 1960 till it ended. Happy Days started in 1974. And then, let's see, he was apparently in American Graffiti, which I've never seen, but that's one of Lucas's films, right? I think I've heard. I believe. In 1973, so that had been before Happy Days. So his first movie was The Journey, then he started The Andy Griffith Show. They did The Music Man in stuff with... you think about that, like... I've not seen The Music Man, but, like... I don't know what the laws were back then with child actors, but he has a movie that he's in, whether it's a lot or not. He's in it in 1959. He starts shooting the Andy Griffith Show in 1960, which went on to, when did you say?
68.
68, so that's an 8-year span that he's working on the Andy Griffith Show. There's another movie in here, The Music Man, in 1962. Not long after he finishes wrapping up with the Andy Griffith Show, he probably goes on to something else.
Well,
and then he, does Happy Days, which runs. And it's like, this is a child actor that, like, he's probably basically been working his whole life.
So I've got his,
I know they have.
Yeah, I pulled up his IMDb thing. So his, according to IMDb, his first role was in a movie called Frontier Woman. It was an uncredited role, which is probably why it didn't come up when you looked it up. But it was from 1956.
56? How old was he in... Wait, when was he born? Never mind, I have it right here. 1954. So he was 2 years old.
Yeah, he was 2 years old. And then... Let's see, he was in several things, or a lot of things in 1959. He was in The Journey. He was in an episode of Playhouse 90, an episode of Five Fingers, an episode of Johnny Ringo, an episode of The Twilight Zone, an episode of The DuPont Show with June Allison, an episode of Hennessy, an episode of The Danny Thomas Show, which the Danny Thomas Show was I think that's the show that the pilot for the Andy Griffith Show was in. Oh yeah, it says right here, Opie Taylor. So yeah, that was when he first. That's in 1960. So that was the pilot of the Andy Griffith Show.
Okay.
And then it's got he did a bunch of other stuff while he was doing the Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah.
A bunch of like single episodes, probably more of like an extra role.
Yeah.
I want to say that, like I said, I think the Andy Griffith Show is probably his first like
big role.
Big role, yeah.
Well, I want to mention this. Like, it's kind of interesting and kind of cool. So, like, Ron Howard wasn't in as much as he got older. He kind of went to the behind the scenes and wanted to be more a director and producer, which is fine. Like, I think that's great. That's what he wants to do, and that's what he's doing. But like, it's cool to see his transformation, because like his transformation is on screen. Like you said that the first appearance he's in, whether credited or not, he's in a movie at some point in time made in 1956. He's 2 at that time, and he's all the way up until whenever but you can still see him because he's he's still like a public figure nowadays. You look him up, you have pictures of him now. But like another actor like that is Kurt Russell, which like Kurt Russell was in stuff he was a child actor, and he's like 60, maybe 70 years old now, and it's like that's a long career that is just kind of crazy to have that long and good of a career,
So the most recent thing that Ron Howard has done as an actor is he was the narrator for Arrested Development, which ended in 2019.
Oh, I guess he does still do stuff some here and there.
But like I said, he's the narrator. I don't think I didn't watch any of the later seasons of Arrested Development. I think I only got through like the first 2 seasons. But yeah, he's just the narrator. He's not. I don't think he ever has an on-screen appearance.
Yeah. I do want to mention this because I have his bio pulled up. His wife have been married 1975 till now.
For Hollywood, that's unusual.
That's really good for Hollywood.
Yeah.
And also, being that he was a child actor, I think also like Kurt Russell, I'm not entirely sure about him, but I think I don't know, like if he's had multiple wives or what, has been married, but I think he's typically been either hush about what he does or pretty good for like a child actor into adulthood. Like he obviously didn't have a lot of stuff that the Disney actors ended up having, but it also is kind of weird to look at that and see that in 1975 he got married, because Happy Days, which is a show that he's supposed to be a high schooler, started in 1974. So throughout the majority of that show, he's married, which is kind of a weird thing, because he's supposed to be, obviously actors don't play the age they are typically, but he's supposed to be like a high schooler during that time period. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a weird thing. It is cool to see, like, even though he's an older Hollywood guy, like a lot of people like that still had multiple wives, multiple husbands, whichever one it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned Kurt Russell. I think Kurt Russell, he was married, and
I'm looking it up now.
I don't think he's married now, but I don't remember.
I see one woman for it, but I see that there is a date, so wanted to see what. Yeah, I guess they got divorced, but he hasn't been married again. I don't think. Only see one. It says 19. It wasn't a long marriage. But, that's the thing, is like, in all honesty, I don't always see the point to it. Like, okay, so, when you're in Hollywood like that, okay, what really, for Hollywood, what does marriage mean? Like, it doesn't mean anything anymore. So why go through the hassle of doing it when you only get married for a couple years and then you just divorced? Because then you have to go through all that legal paperwork too. It's like, if you're not planning on making the commitment in the first place, then why do the hassle? Like, that's one thing that Hollywood has never really made much sense to me with. Like, if you find someone you really like, go ahead, go marry them. But like, why worry about doing that?
It seems like a lot of people just like actors and stuff just do it to almost get attention. It feels like, but
that's probably what it is. I mean, yeah.
But yeah,
that's the thing with Hollywood, is that it's all about attention, and everyone wants to be the center of attention up there. Mm-hmm. Which, going back to the Andy Griffith Show, Ron Howard has not wanted to be the center of attention, which is why he's gone to the behind the scenes things, which again is like, and that might be an aspect of the fact that he grew up as a child actor. Like, you look at a lot, like Zach and Cody, they grew up as child actors, and they've done some acting, but they've also kind of like, they wanted to get away from all that for a while because they grew up the center of attention, and now they're like, ooh, this is a little bit too much,
I think, like, I don't remember which one. One of them is still in acting, and the other one, Cole. I don't think Cole. Okay, Cole's still.
I think.
Okay.
I know that he was in that one show, what, Riverdale or something like that?
Riverdale, yeah. I think, okay, yeah, I think it's Cole I'm thinking of. Yeah, he's still in acting, but I don't think Dylan...
But they did take a couple years off there. They did take a couple years off, like, kind of get away from it all. And it's like, you think about it, like, most child actors tend to be child actors, and then they grow up and they stop acting. Or, sadly, in a lot of the early 2000s, child actors tended to kind of go off the rails. Not all of them. Some of them did. But then again, like, look at most Disney actors. A lot of them just kind of silently walked away from it all. Ones that didn't go off the rails. It's like, you think about it.
Music.
Yeah. But, like, you think about it, it's like, they they start out and they're in the limelight, and it's like, ooh, this maybe isn't necessarily what I want to do with the rest of my life, and they go off and they do something else, and so that's kind of respectable. But like in the case of Kurt Russell and even Ron Howard, it's like they've had pretty good careers from childhood to now, and they're 70, almost 70 years old.
Mm. It's kind of weird to think about now that Kurt Russell is a child actor, because he's in when you think Kurt Russell, you think of him as Kurt Russell. He's an adult.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, what was a couple months ago? Me and Sarah watched Follow Me Boys. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, it's a good movie.
And Kurt Russell's in that as a boy, and he's one of the main characters in that movie. And I kind of had to readjust myself. Like, you look at him, you say, "Oh yeah, that's Kurt Russell." But like, you have to kind of readjust your mind and be like, "This is still Kurt Russell," even though I'm used to seeing him as an adult, and even maybe an old man, depending on what you're watching with him in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, It's
a weird thing.
It is. Bring it back to the Andy Griffith Show, because that is what we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah, it's the Rabbit Trailcast or whatever.
Do you have any? So, do you have any specific episodes that you either stand out to you or you just really really like?
Now that you're asking it, the ones that stand out to me is the one with the man. I think it's called Manhunt, where
that one's a good one.
There's a guy on the loose. That one's a good one. I also like the ones because we were talking about this beforehand, and you were trying to think of how to do an intro, and we're talking about Ernest T. Bass. I'm thinking about that one, but I'm thinking about the one where I think Bob Denver comes in. And he wants to marry this girl or something like that, I think. And Ernest T. Bass is also in the episode, I think. I remember that one as well.
Yeah, that's another
I always like that one because I like Gilligan. So I like seeing him in something else. Mm-hmm. But Alan Hale was also in that one, or maybe a different one. I'm not entirely sure.
I was about to say, Bob Denver and Alan Hale were both actually in the Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah.
I think the one with Alan Hale, I think his character is like, it's something like his character is like wanting to get married or something, and he's trying to find a wife, and he's trying to court Thelma Lou, I think is what the plot of that episode is.
Yeah.
Even though
that sounds a lot like Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. You ever seen that movie before?
I think so. It's been a long time though.
It's a musical, so I'm not sure how much you'd do that. I'm not big on musicals either, but I think they've grown on me a little bit more as I've gotten older.
I think that's one of the ones.
But I always like
my mom's when we watch. But
I'll say that was the first musical I watched. Maybe Sound of Music. I might have seen that one before, but that was like the first musical I liked because it had action in it. Like they fought, because it was seven brothers, and so the point of the movie starts off. And the oldest brother is in town, and he's like, I need to find, a wife. Like, that was the plot of the movie. And so he goes out, and he, I guess, finds a girl or something, and yada, yada, yada. But anyways, then I think at some point, after they get married, they're talking about how the brothers need to have wives. And so, I think they run into town and, and basically, like, steal a bunch of, women and take them back up into the mountains. But, like, in all fairness, they had been talking to the women beforehand. But, it's a very interesting movie if you look back on it from, like, nowadays standards. Like, it's really wouldn't be made today. Let's put it that way. It's still a good movie.
Mm.
It's funny. It's a funny movie.
Yeah.
But it made me think about that because he was looking for a wife and wanting to court Thelma Lou, and so it's kind of basically the plot.
Yeah. But another episode that stands out for me is the one where they catch like the 4 criminals or whatever, so their jails are full, and then Otis comes stumbling in to
yeah
to get his cell, but it's full. So Andy takes him to his house. It's like Aunt Be the warden or whatever. That's a good episode.
Yeah. But also thinking about it, that one where Barney gets a car.
Oh yeah.
Was funny.
Or the motorcycle.
Oh, he got with the I remember
With
that
the sidecar.
Well, I was thinking with the car one, don't they end up busting some? Because it's some little old lady that they end up getting it from, but then they end up busting them for like some kind of legal thing that they're doing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen that, so I don't necessarily remember that much.
But like you said, like anything with Ernest T. Bass is good. But I also like the episodes with the Darlings.
The Darling, they're funny.
Yeah,
they're real funny. The one with the music band, or not the music. It's the guy who's playing the guitar, and then Andy goes and arrests the jazz band or whatever that comes into town, and so that they can kind of see this other guy who plays the guitar real good, and one's a good one. For anyone who has not seen the show, this is going to be a very confusing episode because we're pulling little bits and pieces.
That's why if someone hasn't seen the show, they're probably not still sticking around. But who knows? That might be. But
yeah. Well, here's the thing: if you haven't seen the show, it's a good show to watch. Now, I don't know what your preference is. Like, it's obviously not the highest quality. It's in black and white, but it's still good. It's still a good show. And I mean, we grew up watching it, so like I don't have a problem watching any black and white stuff. But I know some people don't like watching stuff in black and white, whatever. But it's good. It's good. It's a good show. It's really, really good comedy. Like, those older shows, like, as I've gotten older, yes, I like some more comedy that's in a lot of the newer stuff. Find it funny. But it has some good main comedy in it, and it's just goes back to a simpler day in Hollywood,
Mm-hmm. I think we also have mentioned an episode of the Andy Griffith Show on a podcast before, because I don't remember what I don't remember what episode we talked about, or what episode of the podcast we talked about it. But didn't we mention the Family Feud episode at one point?
Yes. Yeah, we did talk about that one. That's a good episode too. What were we talking about though? That's gonna be bugging me.
I don't know. Hold up. Let me pull up.
Strange Laws.
Yes.
The Strange Laws one. Yes.
Yeah. Right, because
because
there's something to do with dueling, and
there was a law, I think in Kentucky. I think it was a law in Kentucky that said that anyone who's like, you have to, whenever you swear in for like being a legislator or something like that, a lawyer, anyone in like those offices has to basically say that they have not been in a duel, participated in a duel. And so we started talking about dueling in the Andy Griffith Show because of that one episode. That's a really good episode, a really funny one, because it comes down to it. They don't even know why they're feuding. They're just doing it because.
Well, and with that episode, I love how in that episode, like I think you pointed out when we talked about it in the episode, but I still love how, like, in the, the first bit of, like, first, like, scene in the episode, Andy's getting ready to marry these two this young couple, and the dads come in and break up the wedding at a gunpoint, and then at the last scene in the episode, they're they both got their shotguns and they're telling Andy to you go ahead and marry these two kids because
you do it right. It's a shotgun wedding, but the gun's not pointed at the husband. It's just pointed at the minister.
The justice of the peace. Yeah. Yeah.
That is fun. Isn't there one? I'm trying to think about it. It might be the one I was talking about earlier with the music band coming in. I think it's happened in some other episodes, but where how Andy is, like, he's the sheriff, he's the justice of the peace, he's he's basically like everything in the town that has to do with the law. And there's one where, like, hey, I would like to speak to I'd like to speak to a lawyer. I'd like to speak to this or that. And Andy's like, well, let me, he turns around in his chair or something. He comes back. He's like, all right, how can I help you? It's kind of a funny bit. I think that used to do a lot of times in those old shows, because I think I saw them do it in I Love Lucy as well.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
They went to a small.
I didn't catch any of what you just said.
Go ahead. You can go ahead.
No, that's not. Yeah, I remember them doing that in I Love Lucy too.
That one episode where they're going through one town on their way to California, I think it is.
Yep.
He's just like switching hats. He's like, oh yeah, let me do that for you. It's like this guy basically is the whole entire town.
Isn't that the one where they go through Bent Fork?
I think that I'm thinking that's the one I was thinking, but I think that there's another episode, and that's where that actually takes place. Because I think it's a guy who runs a hotel, but the one when they go through Benton Fork, I think he ends up being a lot of the. They're like, hey, we want to talk to the sheriff, because he's like the deputy, and he's like, all right, and he goes and he puts on the sheriff hat, and he says, all right, what can I do for you? It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But I think there's another one where they're like looking to find a hotel, and they want to talk to like however many different people, and the guy just keeps putting on different hats, and is like, well, how can I help you?
Yeah.
It's a funny little guy that they do, and stuff like that. And it kind of fits because you got a small town, and like in the case of like Andy Griffith, with a small town like that, how many people do you think are probably going to be able to deal with legal stuff? Like, Andy's qualified. How many more people in that town do you think there would be?
I mean, on one hand, it does seem like a conflict of interest because he can be the arresting officer and your judge, but
you're supposed to look past that, David. When you think about it, like going back to, like even like probably the Wild West, like yeah, they had judges, but like some of the small towns, the sheriff would be the one to declare stuff, So, or towns that were less developed probably stuck around with stuff like that longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've been talking about this for a while, so we should probably go ahead and wrap up Andy Griffith. So, do you have any?
I feel like we're kind of. I was gonna say, I think we're kind of just, scraping up the last bit of what we can talk about, because there's not really a whole lot. I think that we can kind of talk about with this. So, I think we're good to move on.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have any final thoughts, or do you just want to go straight to what's new with you?
I have no final thoughts. I have no thoughts whatsoever.
You heard it here first, folks. Wesley's a vegetable. All right. Let's move on to what's new with you. That too. What's new? What's new with you? What's new? What's new with you? What's What's new with you? Yeah. So, Wesley, I'm going to ask you, what is new with you, even though I am pretty sure I already know the answer.
Actually, you don't. Let's see. I've watched, which I fell asleep halfway through it, so, there's that. But, I watched Indiana Jones and Here's the Lost Ark. Yeah. I forgot the name of it. Last night. Probably about 3/4 of it. Still a good movie. Although it was mentioned at one point, I saw a reel where it was talking about that. Indiana Jones could not be in that movie and it would have the exact same outcome.
Yeah.
He has no bearing on the movie whatsoever. I mean, okay, yes, you could probably say that if he wasn't in the movie, they wouldn't find the Ark. But if he wasn't in the movie, they would have gotten the amulet, which meant that they would have found the Ark. Yeah. So, you kind of got both sides to it. They would have still all died in the end if he was in it or not.
Yeah.
Which brings up an interesting thought, which I mentioned this to Sarah when we were watching the movie. I was like, I'm not going to mess with the plot because I understand they have to have a plot here. But I'm not entirely sure what Bible version they were using. I haven't obviously read through every single one, and I don't know what every single denomination believes. But they're talking about it, and they were like, oh man, the Germans are going after the Ark of the Covenant. We can't let them have it because they have it, they'll be unstoppable because they have the Ark of the Covenant with it. And I was like, well, there's two problems with that. One, God no longer is in the Ark of the Covenant. He's not, not where he dwells. And two, think about it. There's when I think it was the Philistines or the Amorites. Someone stole the Ark of the Covenant at one point, and nothing but harm came to them. So I was like, if the Germans were to steal this, it wouldn't help them. It would probably cause them all to die, Which ends up being what happens at the end of the movie. They all die. But it's like, you think about it, they were like talking about how any army that has the Ark of the Covenant is untouchable. And it's like, well, that's not necessarily true because, it's more fact of what it represents, who it represents, as opposed to what it is, It's not a good luck charm. I found that funny, but I mean, it obviously pushed the plot forward, so I'm not gonna.
But I mean, like you said, yes, that's the logic they used in the movie, but the actual what your point was, I mean, that's what happened at the end of the movie.
Yeah, so it doesn't quite make sense, but it does. It is what it is. I'm not gonna question it too much.
Yeah. Yeah, Raiders is still a really good movie. I finally, because they just put it on Disney Plus, so I finally actually watched Quantumania.
What?
I said I finally watched Quantumania because they put it on Disney Plus.
What is that?
Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania.
Oh, you said I heard Quantumania, and I was like, what is that? Quantumania. Okay.
Quantumania.
That makes more sense. Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you this: what are your thoughts? Because I have a lot.
It's it's forgettable. It's kind of pointless, and really, they beat Kang with a stampede of giant ants.
I really think because you think about this in the end credit scene, there's all the Kangs together, right? and they're talking about like the reason that this Kang is here in the quantum realm is because of how powerful he was, right? Every other version was scared of this one, right? And they beat him with a stampede of ants. Ant-Man punched him in the face and walked away. No, Ant-Man should have died in that movie. Kang on, which one is it? Kang should not have been defeated in that movie. And in all honesty, he should have won. Like, logically, even with the way that the movie was going, there was no logical way that they could have beat him. Which means that they didn't come up with a logical way to beat him. They just said, hey, we want them to win. Here we go. It felt extremely forced, and like we were talking when we talked about the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, it was very much, the way that they did it was very much, hey, we need to beat this villain. You know, we showed him be so powerful earlier. We're going to make him forget that he has those powers. You know? Mm. So we're going to make him come to a standard fist fight with the hero, just so that the hero can win. You know? It's like, so, that's very bad writing.
If I were to, I mean, I'm obviously not a professional writer, so, yeah, this might not have worked well. But I think this would have made it better. I think they could have had pretty much the exact same movie, but right there at the climax of the movie, when they're all going through the portal back to the back to the real world or whatever, and then Kang starts attacks Scott. I think Scott should have grabbed the core and destroyed it and stranded himself in the quantum realm to keep Kang in the quantum realm.
Yeah. That's what I thought they were going to end up doing. And then just didn't.
Like have Scott sacrifice himself.
Like I get, yeah, maybe sure they want to bring him back for another movie, but at this point, like, you can't have someone that powerful be beaten that easily, you know? Like, even with the powers that he had been shown to have at that point in the movie, that stampede of ants that trampled him should have honestly been, like, disintegrated. With the blink of his eye. It showed him to be, like, a godlike power in that realm. And then they said, nah, he's not. Not for this scene. No? And it's like, you can't do that because obviously, beforehand, we knew that Kang was going to be the villain of this movie. We knew, obviously, that they probably were going to, come out where the heroes won. It's like, you really need to start making some of those darker movies where maybe the villain actually wins instead of the hero. Because there are a lot of characters that their story needs to start to come to an end. Ant-Man's one of them. And you don't always have to kill him off, but this is the third Ant-Man.
Yep.
So it's coming to the end of his time. Like, main heroes of the Infinity Saga, stories are coming to an end now. They need to start writing them off some way or another. And the heroes don't always need to win, because the more they get beaten down, then they can rise up and beat the main bad guy. Mm-hmm. If you keep showing them winning, then it's like, well, there's no real stakes. Yeah, a couple of them beat this one version of Kang. So, yeah, if you get them all together, they're going to have no problem beating, whatever other version of Kang comes up. Whether it's all of them or just one, Shouldn't be a problem if they all come together. Especially if you have Captain Marvel. I mean, what? She's invincible, right? She's never been shown to be anything but. So, you have her on your side. That's the problem with Marvel movies nowadays. They're inconsistent with their characters like that.
Mm. Now, another thing is, you might find this kind of funny. So,
hilarious.
So, this past week was one day this past week was one of my friends' birthdays. So,
Birthdays are hilarious.
He wanted to go see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So he and his sister invited me to go with them. So I was like, okay, I'll go with him. But his sister had never seen a Marvel movie.
Good for her.
But her reaction to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because, like, never seen a Marvel movie. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the first Marvel movie that she'd ever seen.
Huh.
So we tried to explain the, like, I guess at least the Guardians timeline. Obviously, it's kind of hard to do to someone who's never seen any of the movies, but I just thought it was kind of funny having someone never having watched a Marvel movie, because that's almost like going to see Endgame or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it, like, I mean, it is hard to find someone, especially, like, anywhere close to our age range, within 10 years of our age, who hasn't seen anything Marvel related, just with how big it is. I mean, there are people out there who just don't care. Like, I mean, there's still people who are hugely into Marvel, and you and me are no longer into it. Like, as much, obviously. I mean, we're still watching them and stuff like that, but, like, there are all kinds of people, but, like, that is, it is rare to find someone who has not seen, like, anything Marvel, just with how big it is, It's like, kind of like living up underneath a rock. In some ways, I envy that.
Yeah.
Because Marvel has completely messed with my mind.
Yeah.
So, brief side note. I'm sitting over here in my house, and I have 2, 3. I probably could find the 4th. The 3 animals I see here, all conked out. Milo, over here making noises. I think he was dreaming about something. Thor's over there with his tongue out. Looks like he's dead. He's still breathing, but looks like he's dead. His tongue's sticking out. Flopped out on the ground, and he's conked out. And the cat over there is scratching out a box, but it's like in her sleep. It's kind of funny. Just wanted to mention that for no reason. Just wanted to. Milo's been making noises throughout the whole podcast. Like, he'll just be over there, and I'll just hear like just whining, or like, I don't know. He grinds his. I mean, not grinds his teeth. He might. I guess you consider it grinding his teeth. In his sleep, he does that randomly. You'll just hear him.
I think I did hear him like a whimper or two earlier. I don't know.
He was whimpering a little while ago.
Okay,
had a bad
day.
Got too many animals.
You have a lot of
I love them, but too many. And one of them is huge. One of them is a polar bear.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. He's a big.
For those of y'all listening, their Western Sarah's dog Thor is a Great Pyrenees, and how much does he weigh now?
He's about 100 pounds. About 100 pounds. He's going to a vet appointment tomorrow, so anyone who's interested, we can find out, but it won't be till tomorrow. So, and then we have another dog. He's just a regular mutt. He's probably about 50, 40. Probably around 50 pounds. And then 2 cats, so that's fun.
House tigers.
And don't forget the fish. We do have a fish. Oh, Sarah's over there asking me kind of... Huh? What'd you say?
I said I can hear Thor making a bunch of noise now.
Yeah, Thor's up and around breathing. Well, Sarah came out here, and they all stood up and started. But we have a betta fish. Sarah was just asking me what the fish we had was, and it's a betta fish. And so she's trying to test my knowledge. I told her at one point I want a hamster, but I also don't want a hamster because that's just another thing. She thinks the cats would eat it. So
which they probably would.
Yeah, well, Rosa wouldn't. Rosa wouldn't eat it, and we just have to keep JJ away from it. Rosa is way too scared. So they're giving me a look saying like Rosa would devour it. It's like no, the hamster would be bigger than Rosa.
Well,
that'd be a big hamster. Rosa's pretty small. Anyways,
well, we're recording for
that was supposed to be a side
46 minutes, so I think we should probably go ahead and wrap things.
And it's
up.
like 25.
Yeah, probably check things out. So we're probably talk for a decent amount. I'll be able to piece something together.
I think we're good.
Yeah,
I think we're good. So, ready to head to an outro. It's been a long, stressful, about 2 hours.
Yeah, so on to an outro.
At least on my end. Alrighty.
Well, explorers, that's all the time we have for today.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode.
Let us know what you thought in the comments down below, or you can DM us on Instagram at DownTheRabbitTrailYT.
And be sure to join us next week on the Trailcast.